this is about how I grew my productivity by 10 times and how you can too. So almost everyone wants to increase their productivity in some way. So I wanted to help out by sharing something that I did, which has helped to increase my productivity by almost 10 times. And basically what happens is it started with looking at this, which is what I've called a peak behaviour pyramid. And basically it just looks at, well, what I did is I looked at my life and I analysed my behaviour in certain mindsets. And what I realised was at the bottom of the pyramid was work. So I realised that whatever I was doing, whatever state my life was in, doesn't matter how much, if I was partying a lot, if I was travelling a lot, if my routine was completely skewed, my work always happened and I'd always get the work done. So I was doing the work 100% of my life. Then I analysed that, well, actually, when things are a bit calmer and I've got a bit more of a routine and I'm not maybe socialising as much and I've got a bit more time on my hands, then what happened was I started to exercise more. And overall, I'd say the exercising was happening probably about 75% of the time. So that was happening. And then I realised when I was had an even stronger routine and I was even more into my good habits, I would actually do a lot more reading and research. I would read about stuff that I was interested in, and it would help me give me insights into other things, such as leadership, for example. And I'd say that on average, that was happening about 50% of the time. And then finally, I worked out that when everything was good, when conditions were perfect and my routines were happening exactly how I wanted them to do, and I was in a really good mindset and good frame of mind, what I would do is I'd actually not just read, but I'd start creating. And my way of creating was writing. And I would do some creative writing. I'd also do some sort of writing on my industry, on marketing, and also on leadership as well. And I'd say roughly that was happening about 25% of the time. So 25% of the time I was in a really good routine and I was doing the level of productivity that I wanted to do on a regular basis. So what I then did was I said, well, if what I want to be doing is creating, and what I want to be doing is writing, and I want to be in that mindset, I want to be doing it more than 25% of the time. I actually want to be doing it 100% of the time. So what I did was I held myself accountable. I took the writing piece and I said, actually, I'm going to write one blog per week. And I posted that online and I told everyone that I was going to write one blog a week. Well, essentially what I did is I held myself accountable. So then, what happens then? If I'm going to do that one time a week, then obviously that has to be, not be 25, that has to then go to 100% of the time. So all of a sudden, I have to write 100% of the time. And the funny thing about that, what that did, the trick that made, was that when I have to write 100% of the time, I have to write a blog every week, that means that I have to read in order to get the inspiration and get the insights to inform my writing. So all of a sudden the reading wasn't just 50%, the reading also went to 100% as well. And strangely, what happened then was it meant that only the time that I wasn't exercising, that was also 100% of the time as well. So what I managed to do was I built on the baseline 100% of work, and because I've held myself accountable from the top of the peak behaviour pyramid and turned that into 100%, the other things also had to do. So what I suggest you do if you want to do this is look at your behaviour. And when you're really in your peak performance, when you're performing at your best, which habits are you doing? What are you doing? Is it writing? Is it exercising? Is it connecting with people? Is it talking to friends? Whatever it is, if you want to do that more often, you want to be more productive, then highlight what the top of your peak pyramid is and then hold yourself accountable to doing it more and more often. And there's one really key thing that's happened I've found since then, in that what has happened since I'm writing, the top of the pyramid has actually changed. So now I'm doing things like this. I'm creating videos. I'm also growing my network actively. And on top of that, basically, which just sped up my development. And so what's really happened is that the pyramid has grown as well. The pyramid is now up here. And all of these layers that were here, here, and here have extended, and I've added to the top. And now the pyramid is a far greater and far more impressive productivity pyramid. So not only have I turned that from 25% into 100%, I've also grown the size of the pyramid as a whole, and I'm managing to fit in a whole load more productivity into my daily life. So that took a bit longer than I wanted it to, but it's really important. I really wanted to share it with you. I really think there's value in this. The key to it is that I was able to do this because I was doing this when I was in peak performance. And what that means is that I'm passionate about writing. I actually love writing, but I wasn't creating the productivity habits. I wasn't framing my life in a way that allowed me to write on a regular basis. But simply by holding myself accountable and saying I will write an article, at least one article every week, it meant that I had to change my habits and change my behaviour to allow me to write. And all of a sudden, what it's done is it's created a hell of a load more productivity, and I'm getting so much more value in excitement and passion out of my life because of it. So give it a go. Write yourself a peak behaviour pyramid. Let me know how you get on, and yeah, please hit subscribe as well.